Hey guys, welcome back. This is Matthew Scooby. It's been a long while since I've uploaded anything. I think it's been a week. I kind of been on vacation. Not that you guys care. You just want to see content. And don't make fun of my background. This is a new apartment, and apparently the last person did this on my wall, and I just kept it that way. So I really don't care. It's good. Whatever. It's decoration. It looks cute. Anyways, so yeah, I just saw it, and I'm getting a lot of good reviews from this movie. A lot of good people are saying good things about this movie, and I've also run into people that have mixed feelings about this movie. So, first of all, it's okay to have a different opinion on a movie. It's okay to not like a movie. It's okay to not like a movie just because you didn't like the source material or you never read the book. Because I'm seeing a lot of people that are divided. They're like, oh, it's but it was in the source material. That's why you have to like it. No, guys, no. Just because something is in a source material does not mean you have to like it. Because in the end, Stephen King wrote his own book, and that's his own vision. Someone else could have had a completely different vision. But I'm not saying anything bad about Stephen King. Stephen King is an amazing writer. There's a reason why he's a good writer, why he's written so many books. There's a reason why he's so successful. But a lot of people have argued saying that it is not necessarily his best book, which is true. I have actually tried to read the book It a few times in my life, and I got maybe halfway into the book, and the second time I read it, I just kind of skipped around in a few pages because I do like to read. So, but the thing is, it's a long ass book, and sometimes I lose interest in reading it. But this is a movie review. We're not talking about the book, and that's why I'm confused about people saying this. Like, oh, but it was in the source material, so you have to like it. No, because a movie is the final product. A movie is a movie, a book is a book, a video game is a video game. They all tell stories differently. You're going to tell a story in a video game very differently. You're going to tell a story in a book very differently, and in a TV show. And look what happened with the original It TV miniseries. Some people say it's a movie. It's not a movie. It's a TV series that condensed into a long ass movie. So, after seeing the Tim Curry version and this version, these there are the same story, but they're also in a way totally different movies. Because in the Tim Curry version, it was a little more corny, comical, and wasn't as dark. Yeah, there are dark themes, but there was only certain things you can do in a TV series that you can do in a movie. So they do have different elements to that part. They have different elements in how they tell the story. And I'm not saying anything bad about Tim Curry. Tim Curry obviously did an amazing job in portraying it, but so did Bill Skarsgård. In my opinion, a lot of people were having mixed feelings about Bill as it, and I think he did a good performance. He's actually the best part in the movie. And some people are saying, well, Tim Curry was the best one, blah, 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 and the original It was such a good movie. I have nothing against anyone's opinion, but if you say the original It was a good movie, you have bad taste in movies. That's just my opinion. Yes, the original It with Tim Curry, it has some classical scenes in it, and I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad, but if you realize that the original It movie is crap, it sucks, it's boring, you almost can't finish this movie. I've seen the original It with Tim Curry maybe 3 times in my life, and every single time I watch that movie, I'm like, oh God, how long has this movie been going on? Has it been 3 hours? And when I was younger, when I was in my teenagers, I thought I was the only one that thought the original Tim Curry movie was very long. But thank God we have social media, and a lot of other people point this out. So yeah. Now let's get to this movie, because we're talking about this movie, not the original Tim Curry version, not the book. And that's why I'm pointing this out, because we're trying to review a movie. We're not trying to review a book. We're not trying to review a past movie. We're trying to see if this particular movie is any good. Is this movie any good? So yes, it is a good movie. It is fun to watch. And as for me, when I watch scary movies, I don't watch scary movies because I want to be scared. I don't watch scary movies because they scare me. I watch scary movies because they're fun to watch. That's just a lot of people will think that way too. Like I watch comic book based movies because they're fun to watch. I watch scary movies because they're also fun to watch. Because we like watching films that take us out of our real world. We know the creature it could never really possibly exist because it wouldn't really make sense. And even if the it creature did exist, why in the flying hell would it make it look like a clown the entire time when he could obviously be a lot more scary things? Maybe it would be a clown to some people that it was scary to. So there's one fundamental problem with this movie that I have noticed. So I'm going to talk about 5 things in this movie. So, the one problem. I'm going to talk about 5 negative and 5 positive. So one problem is the entire movie could have been without the it creature. It could have been without the clown. And I've seen people point this out, and I thought of it, and I watched it twice already. And I'm thinking, yeah, this entire movie could have done without the it creature because the characters, the kids, and the story of it is so compelling. And sometimes it doesn't really make sense why there's a killer clown in the movie. So that's just a little negative aspect. It's not that big of an aspect. Okay, let's get to number 2. The number 2 issue I have was, yes, I understand this is based on a book. I understand that, so calm down. But I feel that there are too many scenes with the kids. This movie is exactly 2 hours and 11 minutes long, I think it should be. Maybe a little longer. But, in my opinion, they could have cut out at least 10 minutes or 15 minutes of the kids, and we still would have gotten the exact same movie. I'm not saying anything bad about the kid actors. I actually love the kid actor characters. I love them. They're because in most scary movies, we really don't get a connection with the victims, with the main characters. In this movie, you actually get a connection with the characters. Because it's not a typical horror movie where there's a character and then he dies off, another character, then he dies off. No, this movie, you actually get to know who the characters are. That's what I like. But they could have done without at least 10 to 15 minutes, and this movie would have been the exact same movie. So, there's number 2. Number 3 negative aspect. I feel that there was not enough it in the movie. There wasn't enough of it. Like, yes, there was a lot of scenes with the creature it, and there was a lot of scenes with it. Like, I'm just saying. But I felt like there was not as many scenes as I would have expected. I think there could have been a little more scenes, and that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying anything bad about the movie. I'm just expressing my opinion. Sorry. Anyways, yes, I just think the it creature was not in the movie as much as I wanted it to be. And maybe it could have been in like 2 or 3 more scenes and I would have been fine. But I just felt like it wasn't in the movie as much. That's just my opinion. Fourthly, there's a typical movie cliche in this movie that a lot of horror movies do when it involves children. So usually kid characters, they try to tell the adults something is wrong, and the adults don't believe them for whatever reason, and that's why this it creature is still running around. So it's not really a bad thing, because a lot of horror movies really do that, but it does kind of bother me in a sense. Like, even if a kid came up to me and said, "There's a monster in my closet," I'm not going to believe him, but I'm going to be the kind-hearted guy to go into his closet and make sure there's no actual monster in his closet. While he's sleeping, I'll go in his closet just to make sure, because what if there's not a monster in his closet? What if there's just some creepy guy hanging out in his closet? I have a son. You know, I don't believe in ghosts or monsters or anything like that, but if my son were to tell me something creepy, I'm going to go investigate it for him. Okay, he thinks there's a monster under his bed. I'm going to go look under his bed. Okay, there's nothing under there. Don't worry. If you're still scared, you can come sleep in my bed. Or, you know what, while you sleep, I'm going to go check your room one more time and look under the bed and check your room and make sure nothing's happening. Like, so, and the adult characters don't do that. And that's what bothers me in a lot of scary movies, that the adult characters never acknowledge what the kids are saying. And that always bothers me in movies. And it doesn't bother me that much in this movie because it's such a typical horror movie cliche, but it's still there, and I just feel like I have to mention it because it does kind of bother me. Okay. um, let's see. Oh, number five. Let's see. What was the thing I was talking about? There's a lot of, and this isn't. This is gonna be kind of hard to explain. I just one second. Let me try to remember what I actually forgot what it was. Let me get back to it. I actually it was on the tip of my tongue. Now I forgot. Okay, I'll remember the fifth bad thing. I got to go back to the first thing. Okay, the one good thing about this movie, the one good thing, is I thought Bill Skarsgård did a good job in this movie. Oh, now I remember what my fifth thing was. I'm sorry, I just couldn't remember. The fifth problem I had with this movie actually was with Bill Skarsgård. I just said he was a good portrayal of the character, but there are some times where Bill Skarsgård goes, and a lot of people do point that out, that it kind of bothers him. It doesn't really bother me that much, but sometimes the it creature does kind of ridiculous jump scares, and this kind of goes in with my number five. The ridiculous jump scares have to do with sometimes with CGI. The CGI in this movie is fantastic, but there are a few scenes and a few shots where the CGI is noticeable. And it's weird because it's inconsistent with the movie where there's good CGI, bad CGI, good CGI, bad CGI, good CGI, bad CGI. And Bill Skarsgård does a good job with the it creature, but sometimes the CGI, when it's bad, seems so ridiculous. I'm like, huh, okay. And it takes me out of the movie, and I'm no longer really scared of that part. So, yeah, it's bad CGI, and mostly has to do with how Bill Skarsgård's doing the CGI, and that's just my opinion. I'm not saying anything bad about Bill Skarsgård. So I'm going to go back to number one. I just said the thing about the thing I didn't like about Bill as it, with the CGI, but the one thing I did like in the movie was Bill Skarsgård. He does a good job in this movie. I see why they casted him. Yeah, I had fun with his character. His it portrayal is probably the best thing in this entire movie. So I can't really say too much about that because it kind of speaks for itself. Either you're gonna like Bill Skarsgård as the it creature, or you're not. And I liked it. I do have a little bit of issue with it, but I still liked it. Number two, I did, as I said before, I did feel a connection with the characters in this movie, especially the kid characters. I like how in this movie you actually get a connection with the characters, with the main characters, instead of like in most horror movies, like they introduce a character and then they kill them off for whatever reason. But in this horror movie, they actually get you to get to know the characters, and that's something that most horror movies don't really do, and that's what I think most horror movies should do. Because I think that Hollywood has this idea that horror movies shouldn't be taken too seriously, at least most film studios. But I think horror movies have now become one of the things that can be told in a good, compelling story. Not just a typical zombie, vampire movie or a typical ghost story, but you can actually make a movie that actually gets you to know the characters. And that's why I like the movie The Babadook so much. The movie The Babadook, you get to know the characters. It's not a typical slasher movie. You actually get to know the characters, and the whole creepiness of the movie has to do with the Babadook character. It doesn't have to do with the character actually killing anybody. Just like in this movie. The it creature, though, in this movie, he does kill a lot of people. But I'm just saying, they did a good job with portraying these characters. But again, back to the negative thing, I do feel they could have cut at least 10 to 15 minutes of those characters out. Number three, they did a good job at establishing the world in the Stephen King universe. It's a good, compelling world. Once you get to know Derry, you feel like it's an actual town in the USA. And no, it's not an actual town in the USA, but you feel like it's an actual place in the USA, like an actual typical USA town. And that's what I like about it. Stephen King and the directors, everyone does a good job at portraying this fictional town. And the number four good thing is the acting talent in this movie is phenomenal. Not just the kids, not just the it creature, but the acting talent for everyone is mostly decent. I had some people say that the acting talent was too corny, but I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was great. Everyone does a good job in this movie as portraying these characters. And the number fifth thing I like about this movie, and as I said before, it's not really a typical horror movie. You're not really going to be scared throughout the entire movie. This movie does have creepy parts, it does have scary parts, but to describe this movie, it's like the movie, as some people said, Stand By Me, just with the killer clown in it. And if you see, you should go watch the movie Stand By Me to get to know what people are talking about. It's an older movie where a bunch of kids get together, they go out to the forest, and they find this dead body. At least that's what I remember about this movie. So yeah, it's basically Stand By Me or with the killer clown, or Sandlot, the movie Sandlot with the killer clown. And that's what I like about it, because I think when a movie portrays kid characters well, and they add sort of an element to it that makes it a little bit of a twist, that's what makes it a good movie. And that's why I like the movie The Sandlot. The Sandlot is about a bunch of kids, but it mainly focuses on one specific kid, and this baseball. Whereas in this movie, it focuses on a group of kids, especially one kid, and they add the element of the it clown. So it is, in a way, a typical kids banding together movie, like a, yeah, and that's all I really got to say about it. So, is it a good movie or a bad movie? It's a good movie. It does have some parts that will bother you, that take you away from it. If you're a fan of the book, you may like this movie, but I've heard some people that are a fan of the book didn't like this movie. If you're a fan of the original It movie or TV show for whatever reason, and you still think that that is better than this movie, you are probably blind. I'm not gonna say anything bad about your opinion, but if you think that's a good movie, I don't know what to tell you, but it's your opinion. So, and this is also my opinion. So, some people were trying to compare Tim Curry's version to Bill Skarsgård's version, and the way I see it, they're both just completely different versions of this character. They both take the character in a way, in a very different direction. Bill's takes it in a more subtle and a more straightforward approach. I'm creepy as fuck. He does have some funny moments, but mostly just like, oh, I'm trying to scare you. Well, Tim Curry's version, it was more like, come to me. You know, I'm okay, don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you. But let's see. Any final thoughts? If I were to give this movie a grade average between A and Z or whatever, A being the best and F being god awful or whatever, I would have to give this movie maybe an A. No, that's a little too much. Maybe a B plus. Sorry, I'm divided. I like this movie, but I know it's not that great of a movie. It does have some parts in this movie where I didn't like, and some parts of the movie where other people didn't like, and some aspects of this movie I didn't like. But what I will say is that this movie is definitely better than the Tim Curry version. Sorry, than the Tim Curry movie. I'm not saying anything about Tim Curry. I'm just saying it's better than that movie. Okay, that's just my opinion. And I know people are going to disagree for whatever reason. If you like that movie for whatever reason, I don't know what else to say. But, so yeah, it's better than the original It movie, and this movie is a B+. I don't care what's written in the original source material in Stephen King's book. I don't care what version you saw in the Tim Curry movie. I'm talking about this movie in particular. If I just saw this movie, never seeing the original, never reading the book, I would give this movie a B+. That's just as simple as that. You know, you don't have to agree with people's opinions. You know, you don't necessarily have to like the source material. You can if you want. But just because something is based on a book and it's more accurate to the book does not make it good on film. It does not make it good at all. And I'm not saying anything bad about that. I do like Stephen King's writing. But there are some changes in this movie that I thought may have worked a little better within this movie. So yeah, one last time. On a grade scale, I'll give it a B+. If I were to give it a number between 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I give it about a 8. And most importantly, I have very few movies, very few that I would rewatch over again. With me, with movies, if I watch a movie one time, I never have to watch it again. And that's with the fact